Gruesome Magazine.
I am your host, Doc Rotten, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-host, Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Christopher G. Mohr, and I will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we're reviewing Allegoria. Yes.
Allegoria.
Allegoria. With me this week's my co-host, Jeff Mohr. Jeff, sir, how are you doing?
I'm great. Isn't that a Nirvana song? Allegoria? Oh, never mind.
Feels like it could be.
I don't know what to do with that sentence. Also joining us this week is Crystal Cleveland, Living Dead Girl. Crystal,
I don't even know.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I think I'm too bright. Okay, so if it was like a Power Man 5000 song, that would make more sense, but I don't know. Like, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We should all be happy or not. I gotta turn my lights down.
I was thinking of Memory.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. Oh, but you know what? Okay, if we want to talk about a song it reminds me of, it makes me think of Allegoria, Cirque du Soleil. Have you seen that live? Allegoria. It's it's awesome. It's awesome. Amazing. It's awesome.
All right. Also joining this week is award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Mohr. How you doing, sir?
All I gotta say is, wow.
Oh, that was actually.
Baby
Why did you take my favorite scene already? I'm not kidding. That's my favorite scene already. That's mine. No one take it.
Did you watch the end of the movie?
Yeah. Oh, wait. You mean after credits?
At the end of the credits, they play the whole movie at the end. No. From beginning to end, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Stuff that they didn't show on TV.
Okay, that's worth it. That's worth, like, I'll go.
Anyway, you'd have to see the film to get that reference.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will. The very film we are going to review tonight. All right, what we're going to do is start off giving our first impression of the movie. That will be spoiler-free. Then we'll dive into discussion. We might get into spoilers at this point. And then we'll wrap things up with our final thoughts, right? We'll wrap things up with our final thoughts, our favorite scene, and our score 1 to 5. Why did I butcher that? I don't know. All right, we hope you enjoyed not only this review, but many others that are on the site. If you do, hit the subscribe button, the like button, share with a friend.
Yay!
We will be very, very happy that you do. And of course, leave your comments down below.
I'm sure there will be comments about this.
I might get some comments. All right, let's look at the card and get going. All right, Allegoria. Available on demand and streaming on Shudder on August 2nd, 2022. Written and directed by Spider-One. Crystal is going to tell us who Spider-One is here in just a minute. The cast includes Krsy Fox, Adam Busch, Bryce Johnson, and Scout Compton. Synopsis is a group of artists' lives become unwittingly entangled as their obsessions and insecurities manifest monsters, demons, and death. So, Crystal, why don't you start us off by explaining who, for those who don't know, which is unfortunately everybody on this cast but you, who Spider-One is.
Okay, so he's the founder of Power Man 5000, which, amazing band. Amazing. They are amazing performers. I just saw them actually a few years ago in Dallas at Trees, I think. I think they actually still perform there, like, practically every year. And he is the younger, brother of Rob Zombie. I don't know if he's younger or not. I think he is, though.
Younger,
yeah. So he's Rob Zombie's brother, too. So, like, two kind of cool weirdos from the same house. Their parents must have been doing something right. I mean...
I literally had no idea.
Yeah, I'm surprised. That's why I was like, hey, oh.
I feel very old.
No, you shouldn't.
All right.
But they are good.
Well, let's go ahead and start off. What is your first impression of Allegoria?
Okay, so this is unfortunate because with as much as I love him and I love Power Man, oh my gosh, the members are so cool. The whole band is great. I am not in love with this movie. I really wasn't entirely sure what this movie was trying to accomplish. I wasn't sure if it was making fun of these pretentious people. It's so basically it's you have different types of creatives, which there's a actor, a painter, a writer, a sculptor, and a musician. And they all each have their own little segments that intertwine together. And basically you have like the most pretentious people of that subset that you could possibly imagine. And the actor was first, and I was just embarrassed and kind of devastated by the whole scene. I mean, I have had friends like that. I did theater for years, and so unfortunately I know that type, much to my shame. But I wasn't sure if it was trying to make fun of, or I didn't get it. It wasn't campy at all. There were moments actually that were kind of funny, but they seemed to have a totally different vibe from the rest of the movie. So mainly the story was my biggest issue. I feel like it was a little bit trite, a little bit pedantic. And yeah, see, I'm doing that because that's exactly how the movie came across to me. And what's worse is that a lot of the shots are not even good. They go out of focus when they shouldn't. Super bothersome. I'm like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to actually be pretentious? Or are you trying to make fun of pretentious people? I'm all for making fun of pretentious people because they deserve to be made fun of. Actually, make fun of me if you want. I don't care. Maybe I went into this movie with really high expectations, but boy, it had some moments where I was just like, cringy.
Cringy. Oh, that sounds like the word right there.
Yeah.
All right, Christopher G. Mohr, what was your first impression of Allegoria?
Well, first of all, I don't know what movie you watched because I didn't see the shot. I mean, with all the crappy movies we've seen on this podcast so far, this is the movie that you single out with bad filmmaking. I think there's great filmmaking in this. I mean, there's not a lot of crazy stuff that happens in it, but I think it's done well. I like the film. Do I have issues with it? Yeah, I think there's some pieces of dialogue where the sort of pretentious dialogue of certain characters feels like I'm watching like a theater piece, you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Like art is art, and this is and although I will say the opening thing, I was like, oh whoa, where's this going? But then I've had, I've taken improv classes where you've had those people that are just pretentious people, like, oh, you need to be the character, blah blah blah. So I've seen that. Although the horrific part of that was just seeing the spit flying out of his mouth. I don't know about you guys. After COVID, it's like, oh, I don't want to be near this guy because I feel like he's spitting more than talking. But I think the way that ends is really cool. And then I was kind of confused because it's like it is sort of feels like an anthology type thing of different forms of art. So, but I will say that like as it went along, I enjoyed it much more. And there's certain segments that I was really entranced by. And there's even a fun song that I kind of like. I like the song that's sung sort of later. I will say there's a few people that I know that are in this.
Oh, that explains a lot of what you're saying.
But at the same time, that's not going to stop me from saying if a movie's crappy or not, as I've said in previous things. But yeah, I think, but I don't know. I think there was parts I was actually like, I was really deep into what was happening when it came. Like there's without giving anything away, there's like a date segment that Scout Compton is in, who was in I think the Rob Zombie Halloween film. I thought that scene was amazing. And then there's also Krsy Fox, who I know through film festivals and stuff, who she's the like the main person that is the beginning and end. There's a part where she doesn't even close her eyes and she's delivering this monologue type thing. So I think there's some creepy moments. I think there's a moment where they incorporate music that I really love how they sort of incorporate towards the end. But I think I mean I think some of the dialogue does throw me off and comes off very like more like an an actual art piece as opposed to dialogue somebody would say, that gets kind of annoying in parts. But I think if you can get past that, I really enjoyed certain segments. Some segments are better than others, but there's other segments that I was really in love with and really enjoyed. And then there's like I just did a thing which Crystal knows about, where we did a film within a film type thing that she's in. But there's a fake horror film that reminds me of that's really enjoyable. That if you watch this film, wait till the end of the credits, because they play that whole fake like 80s type horror film. But yeah, I actually enjoyed this. Again, at the very beginning, I was a little bit worried that first segment, but at the end of that segment, it's like, oh crap, this isn't going where I thought it was going. And then there's other segments that are more interesting and intriguing. Yeah, and it does play around with art and stuff. And in some ways, you're kind of happy if certain people get killed because they're such jerks about their art. And as a filmmaker that runs into people all the time, they're indie filmmakers and think their shit don't stink, and it does. But yeah, I enjoyed this. I think I probably may have enjoyed it more than the rest of you guys, but I guess we'll see.
We'll see.
I don't know. Jeff might.
Jeff, sir.
Yeah.
Oh wow, you already know me. Allegoria. What was your first impression? You already written me off.
What?
Because we love you. Because we know you, Doc.
I didn't have any big problems with it.
Okay, good. There you go.
I didn't have a huge love of it. I found it interesting. Yeah, the people are sort of self-absorbed and sort of I forget what word Crystal kept using.
Vapid and
vapid and self-absorbed. Yeah. But yet, and I'm not sure. I was trying to think through the characters. I can't think if there was anybody actually likable. But I liked, there's a weird little, it's an anthology, but there's a weird little thread that runs through it that ties up nicely at the end, and I kind of like that. And there's lots of movies out about
a different home.
Yes! I have no idea what that was.
It's Allegoria coming after it.
That's the name of that tune. Yeah, whatever that was. So yeah, I'm okay with it. I mean, you can tell they were stretching for something, and it might not be my cup of tea, but I was okay with it. And there's some cool effects in there in the painting segment. I guess I shouldn't get into the details at this point.
No, not yet.
Anyway, I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. How does that sound?
That sounds
okay.
Fair. Sounds fair. Yeah, so I did not like this movie.
So it's me and you. It's me and you, Doc.
I did not like this movie. I appreciate the craftsmanship. I mean, there's movies I didn't like because it was just utter garbage. This movie just didn't speak to me. I didn't care for the characters. I didn't care for the structure of the film. The way the anthology was put together. That didn't work for me. It almost felt, I mean, it seemed like they were really, there is a theme because they're artists, but it did feel like kind of stuck together. I don't know. I just, from the onset, I was put off by the movie, and it never brought me back in. The first segment just burned me, and I never could get back into it. And this movie just, it was a chore to sit through, to the point where I didn't want to anymore. I was done. Now, having said that, there are elements of this movie, not parts, but elements of it that I like. There's cinematography bits that I thought was really well shot, really well lit, and I am interested to see what this director does with something like a not an anthology film. I want to see him do a straight narrative, at least 70 minutes narrative. I want to see what this guy can do, because I think there's talent here, but there's a couple techniques that he does that I don't like. There's like these long shots of people just staring into the camera that was like, okay, stop. And we'll get into all that later, but so for the most part, yeah, I just can't. This movie wasn't for me. I did not like it. I feel bad saying that.
I feel bad too. I feel bad saying it too because I mean, clearly there was work put into the film.
Because it's not that I dislike it because it's egregious, right? That it's like, oh my god, this is like, why did this on? It just doesn't work for me. You know, the structure, the feelings, the tone, it just doesn't work.
Well, and again, I can understand. I think even going into this, I mean, the thing that the main irritant for me when it comes to the film is those long, sort of artsy-fartsy, self-centered monologues about art, and again, it just felt like a theater piece and not a movie thing.
Yeah.
You know. But then when the other things worked for me, you know, it almost has a David Lynch type vibe about it, you know, when it comes to the weirdness of certain things. There's certain things that happen in the background in certain scenes. They don't, you know, and then because he even like Jeff was talking about, like the painting stuff, you know, and even though that character irritated me so much, just that creepy, weird-eyed creature.
Okay, I did like that creature. I will say, I liked that. I did like that.
I liked it too, but I had no idea what the relevance of that character.
Well, again, I think to me that,
me.
yeah, and I think again that's a lot of it. Yeah, that kind of stuff didn't. That's probably my least favorite, even though I like the creature thing in it, and I think the creepy elements worked really well. And then you have other things that worked much better. Like I thought the date thing, I thought that whole conversation and how that ends was perfect to me because it just how it played into the conversation they had.
The rock star thing.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely was entranced by that conversation they had. Because you kind of knew where it was going.
Sure, of course.
I think that was
because that's why he said it looked so real.
That was my least favorite.
I was like, if the whole movie was like that, this movie would have been. Perfect
I think that maybe Christopher liked the actress, not
that was
Scott. That was
Scott Compton, right?
Yeah,
I've never seen Scott Compton in anything.
Not Scott, right?
Scout Compton. I listened to their podcast, but I thought her acting and delivery was perfect. She's like, you know, I think her and Krsy Fox really did a great job in this, you know, or even what's her name, Josephine Chang later on.
Oh, I loved her. She's actually my favorite.
Because I don't know about you guys, there's a part I laughed at because when
she was
Krsy
just staring,
Fox goes all crazy. Her response made me laugh because I think I would probably react the same way. It was like, oh,
okay, yep.
Good night.
Like I could have written that totally because I was like, okay, there's only one thing you can do.
Because I think if somebody did that to me, I wouldn't know how to respond, and I would be nice because maybe something's wrong with them.
Okay. Do you want to talk about being pretentious? Like the painter dude, you know, talks about being a fraud, and I think that's a lot of the takeaway from this, like each person being a fraud and whatever it is that they're doing. But then, hello, are you a fraud? Well, yeah, you're a fraud if you're using that Liquitex Basics. There's no professional painter that would use that paint. There's not. You can use Liquitex. It's a great brand, but you would use the actual professional.
Artists can use whatever they want.
Yeah, okay.
That's like saying you need to film everything on 35 millimeter or you're not a real filmmaker.
Well, just saying.
Well, somebody that says they're pretentious isn't going to be using, you know, the bottom shelf material. They're going to use the top shelf material.
Well, it's more about the art than it is about the paint or the tools.
But he was so pretentious, and I don't think that he would be that person.
Well, you have people that make art out of poop. Or
Christopher, this dickhole was telling her how.
No!
I know types like him. They would not use basics. Okay, like he was such a jerk. Like he told her, "Why don't you do? Here I am actually flowing, and you're just pretending." Oh God, go. Oh God. Okay.
I'm just saying, there's pretentious people that think they're whatever they do is good no matter what they use, and so yeah, I don't know.
Now,
But he worked so hard on it too.
Yeah, and I was correct in assuming that the person on the phone was Krsy Fox's character. Right?
Yes.
Right? Okay. Just wanted to be sure I got that tied correctly.
And I really didn't need to hear that conversation twice. I don't care that we saw it from both ends, but I was like, okay, we get it. We heard it once. Now we're gonna hear it from. I didn't get anything different from it. I didn't feel any differently about it. I was just like, okay, we're just sitting through the same thing again. Super bothered me. I'm just saying. It's gonna probably some people are gonna hump this just like they hump Rob Zombie stuff because of who Spider-1 is. That's just a fact. That's just the way it's gonna be.
Well, I don't know who Spider-1 is, so I can't use that as an excuse. I just enjoyed parts of it. Is it perfect? No. Do I have issues with it? Yes. But I still enjoyed parts of it that I was actually better than some of the crappy films.
Okay, that's not wrong. That's not wrong.
Yeah.
He's right. He's right there.
So
Like-
I think to me, I found things that I could really, and maybe it's because I'm a filmmaker, I don't know, but there's parts of it I kind of, no, I can't now the screenwriter dude, that I've never been that where like written, oh, this is perfect.
God,
Everything
I know.
read, I feel like it's crap.
Oh, but I loved him. Okay, I have to admit though, oh my God, Whistle While You Kill, brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, that
Well,
was
yeah,
hilarious to
and
me.
actually, Edward Hong and what's her name? Josephine Chang. They were in a film I saw many years ago that were really great in it, and so it was kind of cool to see them in different parts in this. And I again, it's sort of a fun thing to play off of, like, you know how fans or different people feel like, oh, you need to write this way. This is the perfect way to write this. So I mean, there's some fun things, some fun elements in it that work for me, and there's other things that don't. I mean, again, those long monologues about art and
I know.
like,
See,
like
I
when
just can't
when the
with
rocker
that.
guy was talking about, oh, this is this, or even that kind of
It was
stuff.
only an
rubbed me the wrong
hour
way.
and like 8 minutes long. It wasn't too
I know,
yeah, it's not even
thankfully.
that long.
But it felt
So I
like
think that's
2.5 hours. I swear to God, it felt like 2.5 hours, and it's because of all that shit. I was like, why? How could you be such a good musician and then give me this dribble? Oh well.
I think the song
don't
was
know.
fun. Was it the eight-legged?
Apparently, I feel more strongly about. Look, I can't tell you how much I love Power Man, and that's why I was like, this is gonna be so freaking. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, 12-6, 2 seconds.
Ever. That is great. Oh.
It's too bad.
Oh.
I
don't know
felt
what to do. All right.
more strongly about this
Oh,
than I thought.
I'm sorry that you guys
I'm-
went the wrong way.
We're gonna go ahead and wrap this up, but Jeff's been suspiciously
Yeah.
quiet. I'm gonna let you have the last word in the discussion. What are we saying that you want to?
I have no idea what they've been saying.
Ah!
I heard a bunch of self-absorbed monologues. No, I'm joking.
That's fun.
So-
Yes. See, because I have
I just
been.
didn't get that much into it. I was interested in it. It was something different, so that's what, a little bit different layout. Yeah, it was
Yeah, it
sort
is
of,
different.
avant-garde
Something.
a little bit, but I enjoyed the individual. I hated the opening one.
Oh my
Because
God, yes.
the
We all-
acting
I
teacher
think we all
really
did.
ticked me off, and that's what he was supposed to do. But okay,
Yes.
I just. But the other ones I found interesting, and had some fun with them, and there was some. I hate serial killers that they compare to babies, but that one was funny. The screaming
made
and
me
crying
laugh.
stuff, that was funny. That was.
Just how he's running around. Wow.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Hey, help me in! There's a big
So-
baby head."
So
baby
and that mask reminds me of freaking Slipknot. It's like Sid from Slipknot. Oh my God, he wears this like
Well, and the
mask
art-
that's almost the same. So
I
funny.
I like the artist one. I like that thing standing there, and then how that sort of morphed, and I liked the I guess you would call it the sculptor one, the human sculpture. And I like the end one with the music and those 6 notes thing. I thought that was nice how that thread tied around back to the beginning.
How they incorporated the music at the very end.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let's give our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. Crystal, you are up first.
Okay, so I was pretty rough on this, and I think it deserves to be rough, but that doesn't mean that I agree with Christopher, it's not as bad as so many other things we watch around here. So I'm giving it a 2.75.
Oh, wow, okay.
Because I think it's better than average, yes. So it's definitely better than average. I guess I had some expectations, and I do feel like I agree with you, Doc. I think that there is room for something here from this director.
I mean, there's talent. It's just...
Yeah. And I didn't have any problem with any of the acting or any of that stuff. Like, that was good. Like, I think that was obviously good. So there was a couple. there was definitely some sound issues though. There was a lot of.
I had headphones on and it was excruciating.
Yeah, there was a lot of bad sound issues. So that's something to improve on as well. I've already said what my favorite scene was, and I am not kidding. The big baby. I died laughing when that came on. I was like, "Are they kidding?" And then when she explained that it was because he was like left in the crib while the babysitter had sex with her boyfriend or something, I was dead. That's funny. That's funny there, okay? So if only the whole movie had been so funny. But yeah, I think a lot of people are gonna like it. I'm sure it'll be fine. Like this little nick that I'm like giving to someone's ego will be nothing. Yeah.
Christopher G. Mohr, what is your final thoughts, your score? And...
I will agree. There were some issues with the sound in parts, so I don't know for screener maybe isn't the finalized version, but
that might be the case.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed this, and I think like you guys, the way it started, I was like, I'm worried where this is going because I definitely didn't like that main character and him spitting all over the place. didn't make me like him anymore. But I think once we get into some of the segments and stuff, it gets really interesting. Yeah, I think the painting thing, probably my least. Well, I don't know. Probably my least favorite, but I like the creepiness of the creature type thing that shows up. It feels like it felt like an anthology with a little bit of Pulp Fiction based on the switching around the segments, how they interconnect. It's trying to be that. My biggest issue is definitely some of these long diatribes about art and philosophy and stuff. It's like it just felt like I was watching those little, you go to those things of different plays and they get up and they do monologues about art and stuff. And it's like, and I hate that. I hate it. So yeah. It's like deep poetry, but it's like, I just want to beat you in the head for this deep poetry. But I think once you can get past that kind of stuff, to me, there's parts of it that I really got sucked into it, and as much as you guys didn't like the date thing, I really, really enjoyed that segment a lot. I think to me, it's like I don't think I've ever seen Scout Compton in anything, so now I need to go out and check more of her stuff out because I thought the delivery and stuff and how they interacted was such an interesting thing, and I think it's a perfect button to the very end of that scene that ties into earlier.
We should say Scout Taylor-Compton, I guess.
Scout Taylor-Compton, who I just recently started listening to their podcast, but Talk Scary to Me, her and the other girl from the Halloween films. But yeah, I enjoyed different segments. And as much as I was irritated by the elements, the pretentious art type characters and stuff, again, the other elements kind of worked for me. Whether it's the screenwriter dude or even later with the music, with the musician and stuff, and how that sort of like tied into the very end thing with Krsy Fox. And I think Krsy Fox did a really great job. And I don't know, as much as sometimes it doesn't work when you have a person and they have this long piece of dialogue when they're just staring off into the distance, I really enjoyed that. I thought, to me, I was really zoned into that. And I think it was made even more entertaining just by Josephine Chang, is that her name?
God, she was so good.
Her response to it, because she was such a cool character.
Yeah.
And I would felt like I was in her shoes. I'd be the same thing. Like, you ever get in those uncomfortable situations, you don't know what to say. It's like, okay, well,
Cool.
good night.
Bye.
So, and I think the whole mythology thing about the music really worked well. So I don't know. In the beginning, I didn't think I was going to enjoy it, but I think that some of the individual segments really won me over. And if again, some of the different roles by the different people, I thought that Taylor-Compton and Krsy Fox, Josephine Chang,
Taylor-Compton. It's Taylor-Compton. We should say it right.
Taylor-Compton.
Sorry,
I can't even talk. I've got doc-itis. I can't pronounce things now.
I did. I gave it to you.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. I will. You know what? I'm gonna give it a 3.75. I really enjoyed parts of this. And again, we watch a lot of these things, and I rarely sort of like sucked into certain parts. And regardless of the issues and again, I'd love to see like just a normal linear story told by this filmmaker, a music artist.
It doesn't even have to be linear. It just needs to be a single story.
Well, because it's felt like it's like it's trying to be an anthology without being an anthology. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like different artist types, and maybe if it had an interdispersing thing, it might have floated a little bit better. But regardless of the connectivity, like, oh, we just saw this movie type thing, it felt a little bit disjointed. It felt like little short films as opposed to an anthology. But as for
I was going to say, it felt like a short film block to me.
It did. I felt like I was in a horror film festival in a short film block, and again, that like most short film blocks, some are better than others. But again, because of that, it didn't feel as overall connected. But again, those certain segments did work well for me, at least. And again, stay until the very end if you want to see the full cheesy 80s thing, which made me laugh too. Because at first I was like, oh, this is horrible, but horrible in a good way. I kind of wish that was a full length movie. As for favorite scene, I definitely will have to say the date segment really worked well for me. Just because you have this sort of nerdy character, it's like, he's just kind of blown away, like, why are you with me, and then you have this other character who's sort of like, you feel like she's kind of character she's got an ulterior motive, and then it goes off into this really sort of cool thing at the very end with how that little button on the scene, which I loved her performance in that. So anyway, that's my favorite scene.
All right,
Hey.
Jeff, it's all yours. The floor is yours.
So like I said, I kind of enjoyed this, and I guess I didn't put that much thought into it, other than I did like when they connected. So we've got the acting sequence at the beginning, followed by like the painting sequence, where the painter's talking to his girlfriend on the phone, and he's just a complete jackass. And then we revisit that at the end when the girl in the band goes home to her roommate, and we hear that conversation again from the girlfriend's point of view, right?
Mm-hmm.
I liked how those tied together. I wish the other ones would have tied in. If they did, I missed it. The writer and the rock star, the date one, as you called it. I like that.
I think the people on the date went to the movie that the writer
Yes.
based on the writer's story.
Oh, okay.
They did. Yeah, I remember hearing mentions of other stuff, but it was loose.
All right. So anyway, I kind of enjoyed it, but it wasn't. I didn't. It is, an odd thing because it feels like an anthology that's got like a connecting story, but it's not completely there. And I don't know. I'm for the final scene. My favorite scene. I'm gonna go to the end when the musician is playing now 6 notes over and over and over again, and they start to kind of resonate that are going to bring evil out, and then the roommate goes into that thing that she later apparently goes into in the acting audition when her obnoxious teacher tells he wants to see the evil in her. I don't know. That fed my connections, my need for connections.
There you go.
The circular
Yay.
track.
Did we get a score? Did I hear a score?
3.25.
Oh, that's good.
3.25.
So
All right. I'm not as favorable for this one. It just didn't resonate with me. I was really put off by the first one, and I think it never recovered from that. I was just so put off by that first one. When it ended, when I finally said, okay, now I want to watch this, and that ended, and then it started another one, which I was like, oh well. Bleh. So I didn't. The structure of this movie did not work for me. And then I started, because then I realized what it was, and I was like, because I tend to like anthology films, but this one isn't structured in a way that works for me. There's going to be many people that don't care about that structure, and that's fine. Because if you don't, you're gonna there are things in this to enjoy, elements of it. I do think, like I said earlier, that I think this director's got something, and I do want to see him do something else. He does have another film in IMDb that sounds interesting. That I'll watch. I won't not watch it because of this one, even though I will never go near this one again. I think I've said enough. I'm going to shut up and just kind of, I'm giving it a 2, and I feel bad about that because the effort.
Not too bad about that.
Yeah. So the effort that the effort that actually went into the film is better than a 2, right? It just doesn't. I don't know. I think I've said my piece. I actually have, ironically, 2 scenes I want to mention.
Good.
So I will mention both of them. I'm surprised. Okay. As much as I hated all the long dialogue, there was something about the writer guy typing and telling his story that I enjoyed. And I don't know what it is because I didn't like the rest of that segment. When the guy showed up, I didn't. I mean, it was, I get the irony and the what of it, but I just, I don't know. And then I really liked the creature and the painter thing, but I just don't know why that creature was there. I don't understand maybe I missed it. Maybe it was told later and I just never made the connection back. But when he's on the bed and he's on the phone call, or he's on the phone call, and he's the thing sitting next to him, and he's just looking, and he's not scared, he's not running away, he's just looking, and it caught my attention at that point. I was like, okay, I want to see what's going on here. And then I was done, and that lost my attention. But I do have but having said that, those were my favorite scenes. I'm going to throw that scene, the last scene I just mentioned, over to Christopher, because it did a couple things that I liked in it and a couple things I didn't like. And as a filmmaker, I think you can tell me what it is. One thing that I really liked, there was a scene where they were like looking at each other, and it started on the creature and then it panned over. Mm-hmm. But then it did like it was facing him, and then the next scene was facing it, and then facing him. And I don't like it when it switched, that part of it. I don't like when it switched back and forth. Mm-hmm. And I found that disorienting in a wrong kind of way. Is that a thing?
I mean, it could be. I mean, because a lot of times the way that you use shots and you edited them together, you want it to convey a certain either point of view. You want it to convey certain horror of a moment, and then sometimes if you don't flow it in the right way, it can throw you off. And so I can sort of understand that because you do have certain times where sometimes if you just use a simple shot, it's effective. But then if you go in between, you kind of sucks you out of the moment. And maybe that's what happened, because you're like, oh, I love this so much. But then you keep going between, because it switches the focus. It kind of switches you out of like that mode of like, ooh, this is creepy.
Yeah,
so
it took
the issue.
It took the tension out of the scene, but I really liked the idea that the concept that he didn't scream and run away, that he was just absorbing that character, was interesting. But I don't know. So I'm really and almost every scene that I could pick out as a favorite had that kind of element to it. So I don't know.
Well,
it's just something in the storytelling.
Well, and I think maybe that's just all about it. It's like a lot of times the people that are sometimes most pretentious and full of themselves, they're okay with their demons, or they deal with their demons, and they allow their demons to sort of affect their ability to, to do whatever. And maybe that's the case where the reason he's okay with it because he realizes he's a piece of shit human being, and
Yeah.
I'm okay with my demons.
yeah. I mean,
I embrace them.
Yeah, so maybe it's that thing to where it's like you go between, you just realize, okay, this is part of me.
And ironically, I just figured out where the sculptor was. I was like, "What sculptor?" And that's the
chick.
The chick, the one that you
Yeah.
liked, because she was a sculptor.
Yeah.
We just never saw her sculptures, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, of
Right,
course
right.
we saw her sculpture.
Yeah,
All
we
the
did.
pictures.
Did
He
we?
was her sculpture.
Well, we saw the
He
rock
was-
star at the end.
Yeah.
It was a human sculpture.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't.
And
make that count.
she took Polaroids of him, and she showed him the Polaroids, and he's like, it looks so real.
Okay,
Yeah,
that one
because
right
it
past
is
me.
real.
That one right past me. So
Quick
I just
comment.
realized that. Go.
I'm sorry. Quick comment, Christopher. We did a movie called Feral that featured Scout Taylor-Compton. That was kind of a showcase for her a few years ago.
I don't think Christopher was on that episode.
I don't.
No, I don't think he was either. It was a few years ago.
Oh, I'll have to check that out. I'll have to find that and check it out.
I don't know where it's
now
available. It's yeah.
All right,
That's a
guys,
good
that's it for our review of
I
Allegoria.
love it. I love this crew.
Let us know in the comments down below what you think of it. Gosh.
You can hate on me. It's okay. I get it.
Yes, I feel the hate mail coming. All right, Christopher. Jeff.
I'm not getting any hate. I'm getting all the love.
You are.
Oh, yeah, because you played it safe.
Oh. All right.
You guys are just pretentious artists.
That's probably
You got
true.
that podcast. All right, let's get out of here.
I'm a
Good night.
pretentious engineer.
Yeah.
No.
There you go.
night.
Good night.
Wow, I'm a
Wah.
baby.
One more time for good measure.
Good night.
No, I want you to go where?
Gruesome Magazine.